All right, today we're jumping into the truly incredible story of Mark Adam Cottenham. This is a guy who survived a war that lasted for decades against a system that he calls simply the machine. It's a story all about resilience, serious smarts, and what it really means to be free. So let's just start with this quote from the man himself, because it really sets the stage. In the theater of the courtroom, I was a crook without a crime, but in the books of the universe, the audit is perfect. Right there, you can feel the tension, this clash between earthly justice and a higher, cosmic kind of accounting. And here's the central puzzle of this whole story. On one side, you've got a guy living a peaceful life in Thailand, paradise. And on the other side, a rap sheet with 177 felony arrests. So the big question is, how on earth do these two things describe the same person? Let's get into it.
We're going to start with where he is now. See, Cottenham calls himself a man of stature, and what he means by that is someone who fought tooth and nail to achieve a sense of peace against odds that were just, well, completely stacked against him.
But he didn't find this peace just around the corner. No, it took an 8,000-mile journey to get there. For him, this was about breaking what he calls the 90-mile trap, this idea that most of us are stuck in a cage close to home. We'll definitely come back to that later. Okay, so to really get how he won, you first have to understand the war he was fighting. And the enemy, as he saw it, was a system he gave a name to, the machine. So what is the machine? Well, for Cottenham, it's the American justice system, specifically the one he dealt with in San Francisco. He claims its real goal was never justice. It was something he called administrative attrition. Basically, a process designed to grind you down, your money, your spirit, everything, until there's just nothing left. And he says they used some pretty specific tactics against him. Things like ghost charges, fake charges just to get him arrested. Vertical prosecution, which was like having a permanent hit team of lawyers whose only job is to go after you. And on-bail enhancement, which kept him stuck in what he calls the warehouse, this endless cycle of legal and financial hell. And this all leads to his most explosive claim. He believes this wasn't random. He frames the whole thing as part of what he calls the National Negro Roundup, an alleged unspoken policy to systematically push successful Black entrepreneurs just like him right out of the city. Now, he doesn't just pull this idea out of thin air. He points to data like this. He'll tell you that while Black people make up only 5% of San Francisco's population, they account for a staggering 50% of the people in its jails. For him, that huge gap isn't a coincidence. It's the math that proves the roundup is real. So that's the big question, right? When you're up against a system that you believe is literally designed to make you fail, how do you not only survive, but actually win? And that question is what takes us from the problem to his absolutely brilliant solution. See, he fought back, but not just in the courtroom. He fought back on the streets with a business he built from scratch called the Under a Grand Empire. This was his war chest. This was the engine of his resilience. And Cottenham is crystal clear that this was all him. He says, I got this out the mud. No one handed him a blueprint. No one gave him a loan. He built his wealth with his own two hands, hustling at auctions and flea markets. He was, like he says, his own bank. His business model? Genius in its simplicity. He'd go to auctions and buy up cars nobody else wanted. He'd clean them up, make them look good, and then sell them for under $1,000 cash. It was a high-volume, all-cash operation that kept him liquid and, he claims, pretty much off the system's radar. But he didn't just stop with cars. This guy built a whole independent infrastructure. He started clearing out storage units from auctions and selling the contents at the flea market. He spotted a glitch in the city's nightlife and started a designated driver service. He even drove off-duty cops home, turning guys who could have been his enemies into character witnesses who saw him working hard every single day. And all that cash, that financial freedom, that's what let him fight his legal battles his own way. Which brings us to the climax of the whole fight, something he calls his sovereign audit. So here was his secret weapon, paperwork. While he claims the DA's office was hitting him with ghost records and made-up charges, he was building his own defense, his shadow files. He kept a perfect, parallel record of everything, tracking every single lie, every inconsistency. And look, the stakes here were absolutely insane. He was facing life in prison without the possibility of parole. So what did he do? He fired his lawyers and made the unbelievable decision to represent himself. He was going to audit the machine face to face in their own building. The final scene is something straight out of a movie. He shows up to court in a brand new suit, totally calm, ready to pick a jury. They pull him into a back room, and a lawyer offers him $1,000 to just drop the whole thing. The lawyer is so confused by how calm Cottenham is, he actually checks his glasses for a wiretap because he can't believe he's not being recorded. But he wasn't. The system just couldn't handle being outsmarted. The judge dismisses the jury, and he's free to go, just like that. And when the dust settled, according to his own meticulous records, he walked away with 176 wins, cases that were dropped, dismissed, thrown out. That number, that's why he calls himself a crook without a crime, a guy accused over and over, but never actually proven guilty of anything real. And that incredible victory brings us right back to the beginning, full circle, to the life he's living today. His real escape wasn't just walking out of a courtroom, it was walking away from the entire country. And this is where that idea of the 90-mile trap really clicks into place. Cottenham truly believes that most people live out their entire lives in a cage without bars, never really getting more than 90 miles from where they were born. So for him, moving to Thailand wasn't about retirement. It was a deliberate, sovereign act to shatter that cage once and for all. I mean, just look at this transformation. It's unreal. He went from being a street bank in San Francisco to managing a decentralized crypto portfolio. From fighting a bitter battle over a $405,000 inheritance to now seeing that kind of money as pocket change. He went from being labeled a jailbird to becoming a legend in the eyes of his grandkids. He literally rewrote his own story. So in the end, his story leaves us with this powerful message, a kind of blueprint for anyone who feels trapped. Keep your math right, stay investigative, and never, ever let them tell you who you are. You define yourself.